attain jhana, is it?
Not necessarily. Yeah, so all the stages of this enlightenment may not need jhanas though. May not need jhanas. So one of the example, some of the sutta example is this Salayaka Sutta. Salayaka Sutta, the Brahmins of Sala. So this sutta talks about the 10 meritorious deeds. And this group of Brahmins want to ask the Buddha, what is the condition to lead to lower realms? What must you do to be reborn in the lower realm? So basically all the demeritorious statement, wrong, you must have greed, hatred, delusion, the 3 thoughts, the 4 wrong speeches, these telling lies, speech, idle chatter, divisive speech, and the rest of your initial precept, killing, stealing, sexual misconduct. So total 10 things. So if a person do these 10 things or any of the 10 things seriously, more than the good deeds, then they'll be born in these lower realms, ghost, animal, hell realm. So the Buddha introduced how to be reborn in the better plane of existence. So the 10 meritorious deeds is not doing all those 10 things. That means no greed, no hatred, the thoughts of non-delusion. So thoughts of non-greed, non-hatred is what we're doing in our meditation. Thoughts of non-hatred is loving kindness, thoughts of non-greed, we're using impermanence. Non-delusion, we're also using impermanence. So it's 2 in 1 actually. Delusion of permanence, so we are using impermanence to overcome that. And you're observing your precepts, so we are avoiding a lot of those things also. So if a person were to keep these 10 meritorious deeds very well, upon death, as Buddha mentioned, if the person at the moment of death, they can make a wish, aspiration. May they be reborn, may I be reborn in, let's say, a wealthy family. And the Buddha said, it is possible a person can do so. Is able to achieve it. And if you want to be born as a human, you want to be born as a deva, you can do it also. And the Buddha moved up to many different realms. And then eventually, if a person determined that they want to become an arahant, right before the moment they break up of the body. And the Buddha also said, you can do so too. It is possible too. Right? So just following these 10 meritorious deeds, well, you can do it. So they never mentioned about jhanas, right? So you don't have jhanas even. So there are many suttas that talk about without jhanas, a person can reach liberation also. Right? So this is one of the suttas. But having jhanas is a bit like a plus point. Imagine the construction work. Construction work. Let's say a person want to excavate, want to dig a very big hole, want to, let's say, dig for treasure, right? Some treasure is stuck, hidden, very low below the ground. So without jhanas, you are using a teaspoon, I think. dig. So you can reach the goal, but take longer time. But if a person has different levels of concentration, then you have different equipment. You can use a shovel, or you have deeper concentration, you use an excavator. So different speed, different progress. So we call these the 5 spiritual faculties. You need 5 things to determine your speed to success. 5 things. First one is your faith, your saddha, your faith or your confidence. So if a person got no confidence, then they won't try at all. So you forever won't improve because you won't try at all. So you don't believe in real knowledge, so no faith. So in Buddhism, of course, we don't talk about blind faith. You need to have confidence. once you investigate, you are confident, you know it's true. Okay, then the Saddha element, the faith element is stronger. Yeah, so that's the first spiritual faculty. Next one is effort. How much effort you put in. So that's the second one. So we talk about right effort rate. And the third one is about mindfulness. Mindfulness. And so I'm going to talk about mindfulness maybe a little bit in detail later. Then the fourth criteria is concentration. So this is the factor. And the fifth one is the wisdom, discernment, panya. So total, these are the five spiritual faculties to determine your rate of progression. Five spiritual faculties. Yeah. So now, since we're on the topic of these five spiritual faculties, we're going to talk a bit about mindfulness. Mindfulness, because now mindfulness is a very in thing, and mindfulness can be very misunderstood. Mindfulness can be misunderstood. For example, in the Buddhist community, sometimes we have this kind of people make this kind of statement. Let's say you forget to bring something. You forget to bring your keys, or you forgot to bring your wallet, whatever it is. And your Buddhist friend will tell you, hey, you forget to bring no mindfulness. Yeah, heard before? No mindfulness. So that is one definition of how the Buddhists use it. We call this a secular kind of mindfulness. Then the second aspect of people using it is on carefulness. If let's say you walk and you trip and fall, then your Buddhist friend will say, hey, no mindfulness. Or you're not on something, no mindfulness. So that is another kind of mindfulness, more on precision and carefulness. So sometimes these terms can be very misused. Okay, so these are the terms, the Pali word is sati, mindfulness, sati. So that's the definition of mindfulness before the Buddha got enlightened. That's what the Hindus, the Brahmins, and whatever they use to describe mindfulness. You need to have good memory, you need to recall everything. That is mindfulness. If you're very precise, very careful, that is mindfulness. So that is their definition. But after the Buddha got enlightened, he invented a new term called Sammasati, right mindfulness. So the mindfulness from before is not right enough. It doesn't lead to liberation. Yeah, so one good example is, for example, this Venerable Ananda. So a person can have very good memory, you recall everything, all the teachings you recall, but then it's the last one to get enlightened. Yeah? The first Buddhist council, 500 Arahants, he's the last one to get enlightened. When the Buddha was alive, not yet enlightened, but he can remember all the Buddha's teaching. Whatever the Buddha say, he can remember. But the last one to get enlightened. Yeah? So, memory, we call this secular mindfulness. And secular, the more mundane kind of mindfulness. And then there's this another case study on this, Venerable Chulapataka. Have I told this story before? Chulapataka, I told this story before. The monk who is intellectually challenged. Heaven. Okay, so there is monk, very intellectually challenged. He cannot memorize the chanting. Heard before the story? Yes. So this is another case study. So a person with poor memory also can reach enlightenment. So this mindfulness, you cannot equate it to memory. Right mindfulness cannot equate it to memory. But in Chinese, we call this secular kind of mindfulness 正念. And the real right mindfulness also called 正念. So that's the problem. But the non-Buddhists, they will use the right definition. If you're this won't lead you to liberation. Like a person can be very good in their job, in the corporate world, have a lot of circular mindfulness, very careful, have very good memory, know who owe them money, right? So they are very good with memory. They're always aware of maybe the stock market, whatever. So they're very aware of what's around them. And because they're aware of all the information, then they strike the right opportunity. They take the right opportunity to strike. And so this is secular success. But even all this success, very high achiever, they still can be very upset. Very angry, very upset, very lost, or sometimes emotionally very unstable. And so they do not have the right mindfulness. And then a lot of circular mindfulness, but they do not have right mindfulness. And so the definition of right mindfulness is mindful impermanence of body, feeling, mind, and the Dhamma. These four things, very specific, these four things. Not mindful of the news, what's the weather today, what's the stock market today, what is it. So the person is mindful of many, many things. But the real right mindfulness is just these four things. Just these four. Pertaining to this mind-matter relationship. Understanding mind-matter and eventually detachment to the mind-matter. So that is this right mindfulness. Okay, so who have not read through this Satipatthana Sutta before? Four foundation of mindfulness. Have not read through before. Okay, so it's good to know these four foundation of mindfulness. It's a very long sutta, so I'm just going to very briefly summarize them. If not, you'll get overload of information. So the first foundation, the first aspect, we call it mindfulness of the body, is actually mindfulness of six things. Imagine your laptop or PC, you open the main folder, then there are many subfolders, right? Yeah, so mindfulness of body, imagine there's one folder, you open up, there are six subfolders. There are six subfolders. I mean, there are six kinds of mindfulness of the body. So in our meditation, we already did the four elements, right? Four elements meditation. So that's one of them. Okay, so I'm going to go through in order if I can remember. So first one is mindfulness of this breathing. Mindfulness of breathing. So that's one of the mindfulness of the body. Mindfulness of the four postures. Standing, sitting, walking, lying down. So this one is mentioned in your chanting, this Metta Sutta. In all postures you can practice. And the next one, mindfulness of all your other activities. Your eating, go to the toilet, dressing your clothes, whatever it is. Talking, turning around, so this mindful of all your activities. So sometimes they call this clear comprehension. Clear comprehension. So it's good to be aware of what you're doing, but then you also need to be mindful of impermanence. Yeah, correct. We call this appropriate attention. So there's clear comprehension and appropriate attention. Yeah. So these two things. Yeah. Okay, so we have this. Then the next one, four elements, we talk about it. Then there's one more. The fifth one, 32 parts of the body. 32 parts of the body. So that's basically your human biology and anatomy. So this is the 32 parts of the body. And the last one, number 6, is this the 9 stages of bodily decomposition. 9 stages of body decomposition. So this one, maybe not many people have a chance to see. So probably in India, maybe still quite common. Some of the corpses are like left open. Left open, not yet buried, not yet cremated. So at that time, the meditators were encouraged to sit in front of the corpse. Look at the corpse. just stare at the corpse and then reflect that one day I'll become like this. Yeah. So, yeah, also one day I will smell like this. Yeah. So that's the idea. Yeah, so now we have masks, but last time they have no masks. So last time they smell everything. Yeah, so that's the idea. So that's the reflection. So nowadays, not so common. So some people try to do cemetery meditation, which means there's a tomb and people sit somewhere near the tomb or on top of the tomb, and they call this mindfulness of the body. Actually, very different. Because the corpse is buried under, you cannot see the corpse anymore. So you're on top of the tomb. So I don't know why some people like it, and maybe they're afraid of the ghost. They want the adventure, and sit on top of the tomb, and maybe do spirits. Some people like it, I don't know. So these are the 6 bodily kind of contemplation. So any kind of contemplation, the Buddha will always repeat a certain verse over and over again. He is mindful of the origination and passing away of whatever you're contemplating. Must be mindful of impermanence. If not, any doctor, they know the body parts very well. Any surgeon, they know the body parts very well. The funeral director, they know the body parts very well. But are they enlightened? And if they do not reflect, then they know wisdom. So the whole idea is, whatever you view, we must reflect on impermanence. And then there will be wisdom. So that's why in our meditation, all the elements we feel, if there's no right thought, there's no loving kindness or no impermanence, then there's no merit, there's no dharma. There's no dharma. Anybody can know. So I can feel sensation, I know that I will die one day. I know that I will be subject to sickness, but that is a one-off thought only. So you must keep repeating until there is detachment. So that is the idea. Okay, so that's mindfulness of the body. And then next segment is mindfulness of feelings. So this one is easier. There are 3 kinds of feelings: pleasant, unpleasant, neutral. And that's all very simple. So whatever feeling there is, also observe its arising and passing. And so that's mindfulness of feeling. And the third one, mindfulness of your states of mind. So we talk about it briefly. So there are different emotions: a mind of greed, a mind without greed, mind of anger, a mind without anger, mind of delusion, mind without delusion, concentrated mind, unconcentrated mind, restricted, not restricted, expanded, not expanded, so on and so forth, until liberated, not liberated. So these are the different, the whole encyclopedia, the Buddha mentioned all the different states of mind. There was the before Abhidharma was there, so this is the more closer to the easier version than Abhidharma. So different states of mind. So whatever states of mind also need to reflect on impermanence. All the emotion you have, you must also observe how it arises and passes away. They are not there forever. Your cognitive function, your area of attention, how your mind jumps, all these are all impermanent. So all these are states of mind. And next one, mindfulness of the Dhamma. So we also covered it briefly this morning or this afternoon, I forgot. Okay, so the first thing the Buddha covered is aware of the 5 hindrances. So these are the things that make us sleepy, make us angry, symptoms of suffering. 5 hindrances: greed, anger, restlessness, sloth and torpor, doubt. These 5 things. So in one of the sessions, we talked about how to tackle sloth and torpor. Right? Somebody asked about overcoming sleepiness. And I think you asked about overcoming sleepiness. wholesome thing arise, you use a wholesome thing to just overcome it. Or keep on repeating, repeating. So for example, doubt, how to overcome doubt? Yeah, wisdom, that's right. But if let's say a certain query, you have to ask questions. Yeah, that's the short-term way to temporarily overcome doubt. Yeah, but the long-term solution is become a stream enterer and so on. Yeah? And the short-term solution, if you start, you're not sure, ask questions. Ask questions. So that's the way to progress. If forever you don't ask, then forever will know, right? So that is the overcoming of doubt. And overcoming of restlessness, the temporary measure is to have some equanimity first. Have some equanimity. So that's why probably when we do equanimity, the mind is more not so distracted. Not so distracted. If a person doesn't have equanimity, the mind very easily distracted, very, very restless. So equanimity is the temporary solution to the restlessness. So equanimity is important. Okay. So that's the hindrance, the symptoms to suffering. And we talk about the causes, the cause of suffering. So you need to understand the workings of the 5 clinging aggregates. 5 clinging aggregates. So I've been talking about it quite a lot of times. Form, feeling, perception, mental formation, consciousness. And how it operates through the 6 senses. Your eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind. So in Buddhism, we believe that how consciousness arises. We believe that depending on your organ, for example, your eye, depending on organ, and depending on the external form, for example, this cover here. So depending on external form, then eye consciousness will arise, then you are aware. Eye consciousness will arise after your eye and this object. So this is the transcendental way to overcome attachment to consciousness. If not, a lot of people will be thinking or have the delusion of thinking, I am seeing the car, I am hearing the sound, I am tasting the drink. Right? So the I will come first. But if you do the other way around, it will break away this ego easier, supposedly. And so that's the process, depending on your organ, can be any organ, let's say the ear, and depending on the vibration and the sound, then ear consciousness arises. That means you are aware of that sound. Yeah. So we have all the senses, we have all the sense doors, the organs, but we may not be aware of everything all the time. For example, were you aware of your heart beating before I mentioned this? No, right? Does that mean your heart is not beating? Your heart is beating, right? But you are not aware of it only. So being aware of your heart beating is you're using your body consciousness, your nervous system now. So basically you can feel the heart beating. So only when you are aware, then this body consciousness arises. So if you're not aware of it, then no body consciousness arises. Some other consciousness arises. Maybe your ear consciousness, you're hearing what I'm saying, you're thinking of something, mind consciousness arises. So all these are the different kinds of consciousness. So we perceive the 5 aggregates and the 6 senses in this manner. So not the other way around. So the Western psychology will be the individual will experience something, will do something, will behave this way. Yeah? Buddhism is the other way around. Buddhism talks about the causes leading to the personality, formation of the personality. So we talk about the different contact. Okay, so how it works is like that. So we
craving.
Craving, that's right, craving arises. So craving arises after feeling. So once you find it nice, you like the design, then craving will arise. Craving arises, and you like the car, so you want it. And craving. So after craving, then you have addiction called clinging. Clinging is addiction. You're addicted to that emotion, addicted to that state of mind. Any kind of craving. It can be craving to this thing, it can be craving to meditative state. So you crave it, then you cling. So you have a kind of addiction. Yeah? So after you have addiction, then you become that personality. And so we talked about personality view earlier. So if I would like this, example, if I like this, then I become a cup admirer. I become this personality. Yeah? So this personality will experience ups and downs of this cup admirer. And you start to think of, hey, where to buy this car? Got any discount? Can I get it from Shopee? And stuff like that. So the more you worry, then the more samsara, more suffering. Yeah? So this is the chain of events. Yeah? And the mental formation comes very early. So the moment you think of something, that's mental formation. Now when I look at the cup only, the mental formation will lead to the consciousness arising. Okay? I consciousness arising. You need mental formation for the I consciousness to arise. And so it's the 5 aggregates is a bit like packages together. Okay, so that's the 6 sense bases. So after this, then we also talk about 7 factors of enlightenment, which we also talked about earlier today. And so that is the route to cease craving. And once you understand from the beginning the 5 hindrances all the way to these 7 factors of enlightenment, basically that's the summary of the 4 noble truths. 4 noble truths. So the 5 hindrances is the truth of suffering. I mean, you experience this suffering, natural suffering. So some people, because they do not identify, for example, craving, greed, and suffering. So to them, I want more, not suffering. Feel nice, not they want more. But once they cannot get what they want, then they start to feel suffering. Yeah? So not everybody can see suffering. So the more we understand these hindrances and how to overcome these hindrances, then we are more sensitive to suffering. Yeah? Then we slowly understand the 4 noble truths and how to overcome it. Okay, so I roughly covered this mindfulness already. Right? So too much theory. Yeah? So any questions at the moment? Not the brain explode. Yeah, so the 10 miracles, this is avoiding, not doing this akusala karma. Not doing these unwholesome things equals to these 10 meritorious deeds. 对。Akusala means unwholesome. Kusala means wholesome.
Just now when you mentioned about the mindfulness of the body, one of the elements is we talk about the other activities.
Yeah.
Is the other activities not covered by the circular? You mentioned earlier the
Secular mindfulness. Yeah, so things only, without impermanence, then it's just be careful only, not being precise, being careful.
You can explain the right and riches more clearly.
Rites and rituals. Okay, any kind of ritual that you do that will lead to more greed and hatred, that is unskillful rites and rituals. Anything. So it can be externally correct ritual, but if let's say mentally you have some stress, that means the thinking is not right. So at that point of time it's unskillful ritual. Yeah. So I see it as a moment-to-moment thing. So if let's say your view changed, if you're alright with it, yeah, you're at peace with it, or you generate wholesome thoughts with it, then that's the right ritual.
Because when we see the word rites and rituals, we automatically, I don't know about others, but we think about maybe praying to the deity.
Yeah, all this, yeah.
But if you use the example of the cyclist buying the things, that one is also considered ritual.
Yeah, so because there are many translators, it's very hard to cover this particular set of practice. Because some people translate as precept and practices. And basically any kind of observance, ritual, rites, practices. Basically external kind of behavior in short.
Basically, the evidence not to be excessive on all this type of right rituals. And we more moderate, don't
not excessive, not too clean. As long as there's any form of resistance, any kind of greed or hatred, then that will be not so right for the mind. And not so right for the mind. So everybody has different interpretation, different scaling, different level of tolerance to the amount of rituals to do. So for example, let's say for the Thai tradition, there are monks who totally don't do chanting at all. No chanting, the monastery, no chanting program. No chanting at all, just meditate. So they have this. So then the other extreme would be lots of chanting, all day chanting. Besides morning, evening chanting, funeral service they chant, house blessing they chant, somebody's birthday they chant, Kali also chant, or some of them wedding they chant.
Is it like wrong view on this?
Not say wrong view. Okay, some of them like even open like a bit like a stall, like it can be inside the monastery or outside the monastery, a bit like a stall. So it's like 8 to 5. Whole day chant, whole day chant for people. So wrong is wrong only when there's greed involved, when there's craving. So if there's a lot of this craving that leads to unwholesome state of mind, it doesn't lead to detachment, and it's a wrong kind of ritual. So you want to talk about other practices, also the same thing, offerings to deities, rituals, the incense, and all those kind of stuff.
Is it that we offer to deities? We are not doing it.
Okay, Buddhists allowed to offer to deities. Right, so this one depends on your view, and also depends on understanding of clinging to rites and rituals. So if a person, for example, I used to read from certain monks, they will tell you if you take 3 refuge, totally cannot associate with other deities. But at the end of chanting, may the guardian deities. So it's a bit, how do you call it? In the larger scope of things, all beings are still interdependent. We still rely on each other for help. Yeah, so we need these devas to a certain extent, but not to the extent of asking favors. If let's say we already taken refuge in Triple Gem, that is our main refuge. So if let's say you want to take refuge in the, if you want to depend on the deva for happiness, to help you solve your problems, then that may not be so encouraged. Not be so encouraged. So if a person take refuge in Triple Gem, they must understand the Dhamma, how to solve suffering, how to solve the problem using the Dhamma. Yeah? So using we call it proper means. Yeah? So there are improper means by asking for favors. Please give me 40 number. Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay. Alright. Yeah, so yeah, so we try not to do that, because first it's depleting our karma, depleting our good karma. Yeah. Second is the beings who help us.
Consideration.
Yeah, it's depends on what kind of wish you want and how much time they have. How much time they have to help you. If the thing you're doing is a noble cause, then they will get good merits if they help you. If the thing you wish for is more mundane in nature, maybe not very meritorious. So the guardian deities, their job is to protect the Dhamma. Yeah? So the beings who help you, I don't know whether they may or may not be guardian devas. So it could be maybe some close relative or close somebody that you know that passed away, and they might want to help you. Yeah. So that is more the mundane aspect. Yeah. So they don't help you all the time also, right? So it's one time. Yeah. Yeah. Because if they help you all the time, then they depleting the karma also. So unless you do good deeds and they help you or you dedicate to them, it's a win-win situation. So right now, if you only ask for mundane thing, you benefit, but they don't benefit. So it's not a win-win situation.
What they last thought is the Thai, or even Chinese, the amulet. So it's a very good thing to anything helpful over there.
Yeah, very good question. So amulet thing, first you have to understand, originally there were no Buddha images, no statues and no whatever. So these statues and images came about 600 years after the Buddha passed away. So nobody know how the Buddha looked like. If you go to Chinese temple, Buddha look like Chinese. If you go to Thai temple, Buddha look like Thai. So Buddha look like woman. So nobody know how the Buddha look like. So a lot of them is based on artist impression, based roughly on the scripture, those description, and the artist will use the imagination and make the image like that. So that is basically how the Buddha images came about. At that time, there's no camera, or even there's the paintbrush. The Buddha don't allow people to draw his image. So that was those days. Okay. So for amulets, same thing. Depends on your intention and your thought. If your thought is for out of faith, out of to recollect the triple gems, and you have it, nothing wrong. But nowadays, they over-commercialize these amulets because majority of the people do not wear these amulets out of recollection of triple gem. So the commercial way to sell this amulet is to tell you, you wear this, you improve your business. You wear this, you improve your love life, for example. You wear this, then you
is it wrong to ask them to protect us from harm in nature?
Nothing wrong, that's what we are doing our chanting. Yeah, so depends on your perspective. So if what we are doing is wholesome and then in exchange, not in exchange, it's more of you dedicate merits really, and then out of, we call it humility, because human realms are very fragile creatures. Humans are very fragile. None of these beings up there, they live for many, many thousands or millions of years. To them, we are ants like that. No? So out of mercy, out of compassion, no, please do not destroy, our earth. Huh? So this is, they must benefit in a certain way now. So we do good, and it will benefit them also. Yeah. So aside from these garden devas, there are evil devas also. Evil devas. These maybe in ancient days, or some people may perceive devas as like supernatural beings, unseen beings. So nowadays, when science is getting more advanced, nowadays people talk about interdimensional beings, different dimensions, different kind of like parallel universes or whatever it is. Right? So these devas are actually interdimensional beings, different dimensions. Yeah? So whatever they do, some dimensions have devas who want to harm or conquer or destroy the earth also. So you have this kind of unseen beings. Yeah? So the garden devas is supposed to protect us. So in order to help us, they themselves need certain ammunition, some encouragement, some incentive. So if the world is evil and unwholesome, majority evil and unwholesome, then might as well let those demons take over. It's as good as their home, right? So if you want to remain protected, then you need to dedicate marriage to the guardian devas. That means we are someone practice, and then dedicate to these guardian devas.
对对对，天后的达摩提是说，我们守好五戒，我们的周围就有4个护法神保护。那个护法神就是谁啊？
对，护法神 guardian devas 有几个我就不懂了。
他说4个。
4个哦 ，OK， 我就不懂了，看不到。所以这些护法神呢 ，these guardian devas。because they have divine eye or they have the divine senses. So for a wholesome person, they will appear brighter. If you are unwholesome, have more bad karma, you will appear darker. And so these the good devas are a bit like flies attracting to light. so they will come to people who are brighter. So they will be a bit like a bodyguard. Why do they want to come down? So that's a question. Why do they want to come down?
Do marriage.
Yeah, that's right. Do marriage. Because up there in the deva, no homeless being, no poverty, no hunger. So if they want to have good karma, they have to come down to the earth to help the wholesome beings. So then the Buddha gave an example. There's this Brahmin. Brahmin dressed in white, like you also, he just bathed, finished, he dressed in white cloth. So he was asking the Buddha a question, I forgot what was the question, something like about guardian devas, about devas, whether they will come down to the earth. So the Buddha gave an example. Imagine there's a pond, a pool of mud, and he asked the Brahmin, do you want to jump down in the pool of mud? Then the Brahmin said, no, why jump for what? I just shower, so clean. Why jump down for what? Crazy. And so the Buddha said the same thing. The devas, for no reason, will want to come down. They won't want to come down. Because the earth generally is, compared to heaven, is like rubbish. They don't want to come down. But the Buddha asked, if let's say inside the pool, inside the mud, there's diamonds, there's gold, there's all the gem, the jewel, the ruby, and whatever. Do you want to go down and take? Yes, I will jump down. I'll take. I don't mind. I can shower again, no problem. No problem. So something like this. So these devas will come down if they are wholesome practitioners. So the more merit you have, the more valuable you are. So these devas will come down and assist you. So that's their objective. Yeah? So if not, they will understand up there so nice. If you have aircon room, why would you want to go and under the hot sun, for example? Something like that. So the devas enjoy themselves. So they will come down only when there's something worthy to come down. Yeah. So if a person just simply by ritual only, I take 3 refuges and 5 precepts, but don't follow, no merit. And no devas. Yeah? So you need to actually really contemplate, have this good karma first. Yeah? Okay. Any other questions?
You're talking about the human being good, wholesome, very brighter. Those who are not so wholesome, maybe dark.
Yeah, darker.
So in a way, we are very white here, we make ourselves very.
Yeah, that's externally look like it's a symbol of purity. Yeah, so the mind may be a different thing. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? Yeah.
Where was Monday addressed as Phra Goh?
Yeah, okay, so Phra is a Thai word for venerable. So it's a Thai language. So the Thai culture, anyone they respect, they mention Phra in front. So all the monks we have in the Thai tradition, we have a Phra in front. Yeah, and sometimes non-monks also have a Phra in front. Like for example the king, the Thai king, they have a Phra in front also. Any religious person will also have a Phra in front. Non-Buddhist religious person will also have a Phra in front. Yeah, something. Any deity also have a Phra in front. Basically, anybody they respect, that means reverend or venerable. Yeah. So that's the Thai language. So Goh is my surname. Goh is my surname. So the Thai tradition, they are a bit more informal. They use the Buddhist Pali name only in ceremonies. Yeah. So like you hear of Ajahn D or Ajahn Man. So all these are not Pali words, all these are the Thai words. Yeah, Ajahn is teacher, yeah, correct. Yeah.
Monday was stationed in Wat Palala all the while in Wat Palala. Then it's Monday under Ajahn King.
Okay, very good question. So I ordained in 2008 at this Santi Forest Monastery. So I ordained in Johor actually. So I ordained in Ulutiram, yeah. Ulutiram. So at that time, yeah, Ajahn King was the abbot there, but he was still not the preceptor. So in the Thai tradition, being a preceptor, you need to pass certain tests first. You need to get certain qualification before you become a preceptor. So at that time, Ajahn King was not a preceptor, so he had to invite another Thai monk who is the preceptor. And so this Thai monk came and ordained us. And so at Santi Monastery, then he left. So the preceptor is just a one-off thing. So by right, usually in the junior monastic rules is to follow the preceptor. Follow the preceptor for 5 years. If the preceptor is not available, then you need to find a mentor, another senior monk to follow for 5 years. So because it's an agreement between Ajahn King and the preceptor, so we directly have to follow Ajahn King for the first 5 years. Yeah. So so I have a 3-year stay in Ulutiram, but Singapore we have this 1 month passport visa, 1 month visa only. So every time we can stay maximum 3 weeks in Ulutiram, and we need to go back to Palera. Stay stay for at least 1 week or so, and we come back to Ulutira like that. Yeah. If we stay longer than 21 days, then the immigration office will interview us. Yeah, so we need to be 21 or less. Yeah, something like that. So that's the certain, we need to play around with the things. Yeah? So we always in and out, in and out. So I've been doing that for 3 years. And I spent another 3 years in Thailand. 3 years in Thailand. So they sent me to Thailand to sort of experience the best practices of the different monasteries. So each monastery is specialized in different things. Maybe some temple they specialize in chanting. Yeah, so you go there, you just observe or just follow what they're doing. Some temple they specialize in something like tudong, something like hiking. Yeah, they go to the forest, they do hiking, yes, so you spend a bit of time there. Some temple they specialize in training junior monks, hospitality training. So how the junior monk take care of the senior monk, know how to handle the bowl, handle the rope, and stuff like that, clean your room, massage. Yeah. So we have this kind of training also. Yeah, so stayed a while in Thailand, 3 years. So after that, I came back to Singapore. Then about 9 years in Singapore. Yeah. So more or less about. No, not the Maha. Yeah. Yeah, Dhammayutika. Yeah. Okay, so Maha means in the Thai context, Maha is like a doctorate. So a person who has like a degree or doctorate in certain studies, then they call Maha, Phra Maha, so.
It's not the Vasa who had over years of Vasa.
Okay, so there's another term, Thera. Thera means 10 years. As a monk who ordained for more than 10 years, then they are called a Thera, elder. Yeah, so for the Thai tradition, if a person ordained more than 40 years, then they call it Maha Thera. Maha Thera. Maha means great elder. Maha Thera. So a person needs to be ordained 40 years. So very old senior monk. Long Po is a Thai word, means venerable father. Yeah, so anybody, their biological age can be like your father's age, then you can call Long Po. So it's regardless of their ordination seniority. They can be ordained for 1 year, but they're very old. Long Po means venerable grandfather. Yeah, so if their age can be like your grandfather's age, you can call Long Po. Yeah. Somdet is a bit like title. It's a bit like in Christianity there's like a cardinal before the Pope. Yeah. So the Somdet is something like that. Yeah. So in Thai ranking, there's 8 Somdet. And out of the 8, they will choose one to become the supreme patriarch. So the 8 of them, 4 the Somdet will be from the Mahanikaya